Jake Paul's like very easy to hate.
Yeah.
But when he's like knocking people out, people are like...
I called him out. I did a call-out video. It's on my YouTube, and I wanted to fight him. But truthfully, I respected that. If I were to fight Jake Paul, I would take it completely seriously like a real fight, and I'd whoop his ass. I'd beat him, Jake. But, because what he's done is he's done a very clever marketing spin. I'm just a YouTuber. No, you're not. You're a young man with unlimited money who's dedicated his life to learning how to fight. The dude can fight. Yeah. He's sparking people. Everyone thinks he's just some YouTuber. No, he isn't. He's in Puerto Rico training with the best boxing trainers in the world every single day. The guy can box. I'll whoop his ass. But he's very clever with who he chooses. He chooses people smaller than him, old, that have a pedigree, like from ex-UFC, but not boxers. And he's clever. That's a marketing spin. He's made a lot of money. I can't hate on the guy.
Well, someone that we're close to is JJ KSI, as well as following that whole fighting. Yep. Also, how do you think you would fare in some of this stuff?
Right. So I made a video that called out Jake Paul. It's on my YouTube channel, and I called him out when he insulted Conor McGregor.
Genius, by the way.
Thank you.
Well, I was saying Jake Paul's a genius.
Oh,
I feel like he is, in a way, to me, when I look at Jake Paul, I feel like what he does is very similar to you. The man he says what he wants, absolutely anything he wants, and people hate him for it, but people talk about him.
He's monetized attention.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
He's monetized attention, and when I made the video, I really disliked Jake Paul. Now, I don't dislike him, I understand him. I want to make something clear. I would still kick the living fuck out of Jake Paul. I'm not some washed up UFC fighter. I'm not smaller than him. I would beat the living shit out of him. And if he wants to fight, I'll fight him any day of the week, and I'll fucking wreck him, and he knows that. However, I do understand what he's doing. I understand that he is very, very smart, even with his marketing angle. I'm just a YouTuber. You're not just a YouTuber. You're a full-grown man with the best coaches in the world who's dedicated his life to learning how to box for years. You know how to box. You're not a complete amateur. You know how to box very well. 3, 4, 5 years of training combat sports. You can box. The guy's not a jackass. And the fact that he puts his spin on it is very, very smart. And he's also very, very smart when he attacks Dana White saying they underpay fighters to get the fighters on his side. Yeah. He's very, very clever. I'm not going to disregard what he's doing. I'd beat the shit out of the dude, and he knows that. And I don't think he'd risk taking an L against me. He'd rather take an L against a UFC legend or someone he can
someone he knows he can beat.
Would you? So, yeah. But even if he loses to, let's say, a UFC legend, he has an excuse, right?
Yeah,
because it's my fourth fight. He's a UFC legend. But if it's the kickboxer, kickboxing's not mainstream.
That's why I know.
Yeah, and he's old and he's small.
He's finished. Yeah. He's coming off the end of his career. But like you said, Andrew, if I beat him, I look amazing. But if I lose, he's a UFC legend.
That's
right.
He's smart.
If you put an offer on the table, would you fight him?
I'd kick the living fuck out of Jake Paul.
So you do it?
Jake Paul probably might be richer than me, maybe. I don't know. I have 100M. I don't know how much he has.
I would say...
No. Is that their podcast? Is that the name of it? I know the Paul brothers. I know Jake because he fights.
Do you like Jake?
I have nothing against Jake. I have nothing against him personally. I'll fight him, but I have nothing against him.
You guys would fight? Holy shit, that'd be funny. Not funny, but cool to watch. Do you know...
Listen, I would smash him up. Let's talk two things about Jake Paul, firstly, right? So I challenged Jake Paul. I made a Jake Paul challenge video. It's on YouTube somewhere. It went really big on Twitter because I challenged him because he is a very fortunate young man. And he's fortunate because he's extremely rich, because he's allowed himself to become the biggest clown on the internet, and now he's famous, right? Because he's an idiot. But he has a bunch of money, so he gets to make a bunch of money from fighting. And the reason that upsets me is because most of the real fighters out here know it's a terrible career path. It's extremely difficult to make any money from fighting. There's so much luck involved, so much hard work, so much sweat. You're broke for so long. Most of the guys you watch in the UFC are broke. Like even the guys you can name are broke. It's so hard to get paid in fighting. And he's managed to get right there to the top from the beginning because he was already famous. So the video I made to him was saying, look, you keep insulting the game, but you've jumped in at a certain level because you're lucky. But if you want to fight somebody, he wouldn't fight me because I'm not famous enough for him to lose to. Right. Because I'd smoke him. But I was like, you're going to come out here and talk like a fighter. There's a whole bunch of fighters out there who no one's ever heard of, who have no money, who would whoop your ass. You're not the best. You can go to Dagestan and find some kid who has no cash who would smoke you. And everybody knows it, right? So that was the video was about. And I said, look, if you want to fight a real fighter, you can fight me because I'm genuinely upset at you. On the other hand, part of me likes Jake Paul. Right. Part of me respects his hustle. And I want to make another point here. I put on Twitter publicly that he was going to smoke Ben Askren in less than a minute, about an hour before the fight. And everyone was calling me crazy. Askren's a fighter, did all this shit. I want you guys to understand something about Jake Paul. He is not just a YouTuber. he is a young man training with Canelo and Ryan Garcia. And with a lot of money and all the time in the world to train with the best camp in the world. He can box. The idea, he's smart. He doesn't say that. I'm just a YouTuber. But what he really is a student of the game who's 3 or 4 years into training with one of the best camps in the world, who has all the money for the best rehabilitation, the best diet, all that, blah, blah, blah. So he can box. I'm not saying the guy can't fight, but I'd still whoop his ass.
This is search terms against Jake Paul, which we're going to talk about. Because me and him, I told him I was going to fight him. I like the Paul brothers. I'm going to interject. So make your point, and I'm going to tell you why I like.
Well, I'm more famous than him.
Okay, I'm the blue line. He's the red line.
Yeah, this is Google searches.
Yeah, right.
This is me against Joe Biden.
You're currently the most talked about famous man in the world.
I'm higher than Donald Trump. I'm top G.
Yeah, top G.
I'm the most talked about man in the world. Joe Biden, you think you're president? I'm top G.
You're not top G, Joe Biden.
You're not top G. I am.
You can spell top G. Right. Right. Now that you've mentioned them, let me talk about why I like the Paul brothers. I genuinely do like something that they've done. And it is really credible to their character. Most of these people who grow up, as I said, being internet content creators and make money, they grow up being clowns. We made money and then we decided to create some content on the internet. These guys have at least had the balls to get in the ring. Massive respect, because anyone who gets in the ring, it's a dangerous sport, and it's real shit. And anyone who says that his fights are rigged, I don't think his fights are rigged at all. He carefully picks his opponents, but his fights aren't rigged. But he has brought back something that I really like. I really like that back in the day, in 17th century Europe, if you had beef with a man and everyone knew that you publicly disagreed, you could say, haha, I challenge you to a duel. I challenge you, let's have it out in public and settle our affairs. They brought back this old, you have beef with me, okay, let's settle it with fisticuffs. Let's settle it like men. So if it wasn't for the Paul brothers, there would still be mindless internet beef going on, and you couldn't say, let's have a fight, let's actually sort this out. So I genuinely massively respect the Paul brothers for that. They brought that back, and it's a custom as old as time, and it's been back 5 years, and I'd say they are largely at credit and at fault for bringing that back. So hats off to them. Nothing but respect from my end.
Yeah, I made a video calling out Jake Paul. If me and Jake Paul fight, I will destroy him because I am a professional and he knows I'll destroy him, and that's fine. But that aside, when I first made that video was when he was calling out Conor McGregor, and I thought he was just being disrespectful and he was just a clown. It turns out he's taking his boxing career quite seriously.
He's really training.
He's training. He's getting in the ring when he doesn't have to get in the ring. You know, he has enough money. He doesn't have to do this.
Yes.
He's putting it on the line. He's putting his reputation on the line. I know that takes balls. I respect him for it. So I understand now that he's very serious about his boxing career. And you're right. They brought back the old school. Have you got beef? Let's fight. I love that they brought that back. I love that they brought this back because I'll fight Ethan any day of the week. I'll fight anyone. That's who I am.
Anyone who has beef.
Anyone who has beef. If Jake wants to fucking fight me, I'll fight him. I ain't scared of nobody on this fucking planet.
Is that right that you challenged Jake Paul?
Oh yeah, I challenged Jake Paul.
What was the situation there then?
So, Jake Paul made the call-out video. Did you see when he called out Conor McGregor?
I did, yeah.
And he disrespected Conor McGregor. Here's the thing here's the mistake that everybody's making about Jake Paul. Because I put this on my Twitter account. You can go back and verify. You know I don't lie anyway. I said Jake Paul's going to finish Askren in 30 seconds. And everyone's like, whoa, Askren's a fighter, blah, blah, this crap. I knew Jake Paul would smoke him because Jake Paul is the person I used to be. He's a cocky, arrogant young man who's training his ass off. You think Jake Paul isn't training? They're like, oh, he's just a YouTuber. He's training with Canelo and Ryan Garcia. They're making out like he's just some retard YouTuber. The guy is training his ass off. He's not running his mouth to people without training. He's getting in there to win. And someone like Ben Askren with no striking skills, of course he's going to get sparked.
Did you ever consider Andrew Tate as an opponent?
Next question. Next question. Next question, buddy. Next question.
Which kid? Andrew Tate.
Next question. Let's focus on August 6th.
Jake Paul, it's clear to me you are desperate for a reality check. You know what? If I made my money impressing 4-year-olds on YouTube and managed to somehow become a multimillionaire from it, I'd probably live in a dream world too. But let me explain something to you about combat sports. There are a whole bunch of men out here who will never be as famous as you, will never make the money you've made, who would kick the living fuck out of you. This is the hardest sport in the world, and people dedicate their lives to this, and most of them never get a payday. It never pays off for the majority of fighters, all of which would fuck you up. I'm one of the lucky ones. I made a little bit of money. I don't have 50 million to bet with you, but I do have 3 million to bet with you. So this is your offer. $3 million. You put 3, I put 3. Winner takes all. I'm 5 years out the ring. I'm a kickboxer. You're 2-0 in boxing. I'm 0-0 in boxing. I've never even fought boxing. I'm a retired old man. 5 years I've been sitting around smoking cigars and fucking bitches, which are better looking than the fucking girl you're advertising anyway. I will fight you any day of the fucking week. Don't worry about Conor McGregor fucking you up. Don't worry about Floyd Mayweather fucking you up. You only want to lose to them so you can say, well, I lost to Conor McGregor. Why don't you lose to an old man who's retired? I live in the real fucking world, Jake. There's a whole bunch of fighters out here who live in the real fucking world. Men who are dangerous and dedicated their lives to this sport and don't have a fucking fraction of the money you have because you managed to become a fucking clown. The biggest clown on the fucking internet. If you want to fight and you want to send a contract, send one to me. I will take a few weeks break from living my retired life to kick the living fuck out of a fucking goofy, fucking entitled dickhead like you. You know my name, Andrew Tate.